The mighty Savannah River flows 300 miles dividing Georgia and South Carolina. This weekend, it forms the line of scrimmage for Border Bowl 9.
It's a real honor, to be honest, to be able to show out and, of course, represent Georgia and show that we're most likely better than South Carolina.
We have to keep it going. Like it means a lot to keep that streak rolling, and South Carolina's going to pull through and win another one.
From Washington to Waynesboro, Sandersville to Sally, the 85 top seniors in the two-state come to battle for the paddle. We're counting down to kickoff of Border Bowl 9.
The Border Bowl 9 special is brought to you by McDonald's, Johansson Sporting Goods, and Richmond County School System. And now your hosts, Ashley Brown and Sean Hart.
Well, just 5 days to bring all of these players from across the CSRA together and make them into a team. Team Georgia, under the watchful eye of head coach Lyle Burns, who of course led Richmond Academy to its first region title in 44 years a season ago. They spent the week practicing at Hepzibah High School. For 5 years, the paddle has resided in the state of South Carolina. 4 straight wins, of course no game last year due to COVID, but tomorrow we are back. John Hart alongside my Game Night Live broadcast partner Ashley Brown and AB. We've been looking forward to tomorrow for 2 long years.
Absolutely, and I know some of the Georgia coaching staff, they want to bring that paddle back to the Peach State, and it's going to be awesome. The game's gotten so big, so many more people want to be involved, and the kids look forward to this thing all season long, so can't wait for tomorrow.
You and me both. Our thanks to the Richmond County Board of Education for hosting Border Bowl again this year. In the next half hour, we will introduce you to the players that will represent Team Georgia and Team South Carolina tomorrow, hear from the 2 head coaches, and introduce you to the real winners in tomorrow's game, plus maybe a prediction or 2. Maybe. We'll see. So let's introduce the team, starting with Georgia quarterbacks. Brooks Pangle from Greenbrier. He can spin at AB, 2,800 yards passing and 21 TDs this year.
Well, 21 TDs and only 1 pick, John, and in the last 2 seasons, 52 touchdown passes for Pangle.
Also a quarterback for Georgia, Dalen Cobb from Washington Wilkes, the definition of dual threat, 1,600 yards, 17 touchdowns through the air, 1,421 scores on the ground. Video game numbers, AB.
Yeah, Clay Helton at Georgia Southern is getting him a good one. Cobb can do it all, maybe the best player in the area this year. You certainly could argue that point.
Again, Team Georgia just loaded at quarterback. Tay Martin from Thompson, 1,400 dual-purpose yards and 19 TDs, leading the Bulldogs to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, this year they were so talented they spread the wealth, but keep in mind, as a sophomore and junior, he rushed for over 1,000 yards.
And now how about their targets, starting with David Driscoll from Greenbrier. He and Pangle connected for 663 and 9 scores this year.
Absolutely, that height advantage for Driscoll's great. Also keep an eye on A.J. Higgins from Washington County.
Now the ground attack. Joe Hampton from Evans. He averaged 9 yards a carry this season, ended up with 19 touchdowns.
Electric is the word. I mean, every time he touches the football, he can take it to the house. He showed that all season long for the Knights, no doubt.
And he has a stable of running backs, including Tevin Gartrell from Lincoln County, and a backfield that shared a ton of carries, 1,400 yards and 16 for 6 for him.
I think Gartrell might be the sleeper to watch for Team Georgia. He's just a battering ram, and I think the strength of Team Georgia, in addition to the quarterbacks, is that offensive line. They are loaded up front.
And handling the field goals and PATs for Team Georgia, 49 of 52 on the point after this season, Connor Askew from Thompson. Now the Georgia defense starting up front with Ivan Arroyo from Burke County, more than 100 tackles and 10 sacks this year. 99
solo tackles for a defensive lineman is not supposed to happen. And how about 9 forced fumbles this year, which led the area by far.
The rest of the line and linebacking core. I know you really like Vandre Thomas from Harlem.
I do like Thomas. I think he's he was double teamed a lot at Harlem. They won't be able to do that tomorrow. He could have a big game.
The Georgia defensive backs, Caleb Hutchinson of Westside, one of the best overall players in our area. He was all over the place in the playoffs. 5 picks and a pick 6 in the playoff.
I'm just going to call him champ because pound for pound, he might be the best player in the state of Georgia. Hutchinson can do it all. Cover, tackle, return kicks, play offense. I really think he's a special talent. Coastal Carolina got a good one there.
You know, I've always wanted to play in the Border Bowl since my cousin played there some years ago. So, you know, it's always been on my bucket list to, you know, play in the Border Bowl and represent my state going against South Carolina.
a great example in the weight room, in the classroom, on the practice field. You know, all those intangibles, he kind of checks all those boxes.
And you mentioned Coastal Carolina getting a good one. We were there on early signing day when Caleb made it official. He will spend his days on the teal turf in Conway, South Carolina. And a lot of talent joining Caleb in that Georgia defensive backfield, AB.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rashad Myers is somebody to watch tomorrow. Warren County didn't get as much attention as maybe some teams, but they had a great year, and he is a big-time talent.
And the punter for Team Georgia, down at the bottom of your screen, Brett Sterner from Harlem. He averaged 43 yards a kick, the Region 4 AAA Special Teams Player of the Year. Coming up, Team South Carolina not quite ready to give up that paddle after owning it for the last 5 years.
We have to keep it going. Like it means a lot to keep that streak rolling, and South Carolina's going to pull through and win another one.
Our season ended, and I'm just happy to have one more game to spend with him.
I'm just glad that he loves the game like I love the game, and has had a phenomenal high school career, and to end it in the Border Bowl with me out there with him is something that we'll both enjoy. He knows sometimes I yell at him because it's just his turn to check that box off, make sure you got a chance to yell at your son.
Right as we get in the car, I always have to hear something, which is it's always something, whether it's good or bad.
On the way home, my wife kind of looked at both of us and said, okay, stop. We're not riding home listening to this. Nobody else has to ride home for 2 hours with the coach.
He's like my best friend, and he's taught me I want to coach when I get older. So he's taught me how to coach and just how to be a better man.
That just, you know, makes my day. I mean, I love him. Some of the things that maybe we've taught him through, not just him, but all of our players, but taught him on the field and off the field will carry him a long way in life.
Ridge Spring Minetta head coach Brian Smith and his son Brett representing Team South Carolina, which spent its week practicing at Aiken High School. Smith, of course, an assistant for South Carolina under head coach Derek Youngblood, who was the athletic director at Barnwell, former head coach at Williston-Elko, where he led the Blue Devils to 5 straight playoff appearances and a region championship from 2015 to 2019. The last time Georgia won Border Bowl was 2 presidents ago. The year was 2015.
Wow.
And AB, I have a crisp, and I mean crisp, $50 bill in my pocket. If you can name the #1 song on the Billboard charts the day South Carolina last lost Border Bowl.
2015?
This would have been January of 2015.
I'm going Ariana Grande something.
Ooh, the 50 stays in the pocket. The answer is Blank Space by Taylor Swift.
I should have gone Taylor Swift. What was I thinking?
And since then, the only blank space has been in the loss column for Team South Carolina. Here is the team that will try to keep that streak going, led by quarterback Rem Leapart from Ridge Spring Minetta. 2,200 passing yards, 36 total touchdowns. The Trojans scored the most points in school history.
It means a lot, man. A lot of people don't get to do this, but I've been selected to play in the Border Bowl, so I'm very thankful to be in the Border Bowl. It means a lot to me. It means a lot. We can't break the streak. 4 in a row, let's make it 5.
Rem joined by Weston Sandifer, Barnwell, and they'll have plenty of targets with this core of receivers as well, AB.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the guys is Mikael Sullivan. Keep an eye on him from Augusta Christian. Tall and lanky and athletic. And again, maybe not as much attention paid to him this year. He could have a coming out party tomorrow.
Zach Blackwell from Augusta Christian, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 players in our area. He's on the team as a linebacker, but I'm guessing he'll get his fair share of carries tomorrow. 2,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, leading the Lions to the state semis this season.
Well, when he was a kid, he was a man among boys, and that didn't change in high school. He had over 60 touchdowns and over 5,200 yards rushing in his high school career. Amazing.
It means everything. You know, I get to go against the guys that I've always played against or played with. So, you know, love them as brothers, but when we're on that football field, it's going to be something else. We got a little motto around here. We spell fun one way, W-I-N. And so these guys from Georgia, I've played with them or against them, you know, my whole life. And it ain't going to start on January 8th, I promise you that.
Well, Blackwell will get help from T.J. Williams from Denmark. Olar, more than 1,100 yards, 21 total TDs.
Yeah, and I think this group has a little something to prove. There were so many good underclassmen running backs in South Carolina that these guys maybe didn't get as much attention, so they're going to definitely have a little chip on their shoulder tomorrow.
And before we move on, we want to mention the addition of South Aiken tight end Luke Neifer as an injury replacement as well, not pictured. Blocking for those guys, we have an offensive line that includes 6'4", 280-pound Corey Heath from Silver Bluff, who helped pave the way for more than 2,200 yards, I should say. Talking about great underclassmen running backs, AB. The Bulldogs averaged more than 9 a carry as a team en route to the state championship game.
Yeah, Heath, that offense produced 40 points every week, and he was a big part of that reason why. Absolutely loaded squad, but Heath was the leader up front for sure.
Plenty more beef up front for South Carolina, including D1 prospect Nick Williams from Fox Creek.
Yeah, again, Nick Williams is a guy maybe with a little something to prove. Even though he has all those offers, going up against, some people are saying, well, it's Fox Creek, smaller competition. He's going to go up against the big boys for that Georgia defense, and maybe he'll prove he's the reason why he got all those offers from everybody.
Speaking of offers and D1 talent, the kicker for South Carolina is Drew Stevens. Set more school records at North Augusta than we have time to mention, but did make 68 straight PATs. That's 5th in South Carolina's history, and hit from 51 yards out earlier this season. And next up after Border Bowl, the University of Iowa. We were there when he made it official earlier this year. The South Carolina defense up front, led by Jaden McLeod from Silver Bluff, 33 tackles for loss, 8 sacks.
Well, I'm going to repeat a stat. I know we're not supposed to do that in this profession, but 33 tackles for loss? Are you kidding me? This guy is all over the field. You talk about a ball hawk. He is it on that defense for Team South Carolina.
And a look at the rest of the South Carolina defensive line. A lot of talent here.
Yeah, I think Jamari Stroman's a real key. He's a big guy in the middle. They're going to need that because that offensive line for Team Georgia is pretty stout.
The linebacking core led by Quincy Bias from Bamberg Earhart, 18 sacks and 4 picks this season.
Yeah, Bamberg Earhart always has those athletes on that defensive side of the ball, and he was all over the place. Tackles, interceptions, making plays, just a really talented all-around player.
The linebackers and defensive backs, the Demarion Ginn from South Aiken, the Region 5 Defensive Player of the Year, leads the group.
I'm glad you mentioned him because he's the guy, I didn't get a chance to see him this year. He's the guy I'm really looking forward to seeing. And then also, don't forget when Zach Blackwell's over there, Jake Birch also with Augusta Christian. Those two guys together, pretty good middle linebackers for the Lions this year.
You bet. Coming up, the two head coaches will be here. Lyle Burns and Derek Youngblood take us inside their thought process leading up to Border Bowl 9. Joined now by the head coaches for Border Bowl 9 from Team South Carolina, Derek Youngblood, the athletic director at Barnwell, former head coach at Williston Elko. From Team Georgia, Lyle Burns, Richmond Academy. Gentlemen, welcome. I'll start with this, and Derek, will start with you. What were you looking for most when you put together your roster?
I think, it always goes back to just trying to get the best players. And I think for most of us, I think when you've been a part of this game before, it's good when you've developed that relationship with those guys that are on that staff. It sort of blankets the area pretty good, especially in South Carolina. So you get those guys that, that maybe aren't as well known, but guys that other people have seen play this year, and trying to see where you can get them to fit in. But it's just trying to get the best ones that we can get.
Lyle, same question for you.
I think there's probably 20, 25 no-doubters, that everybody knows. It was really fun combing through the other guys, and trying to decide, who was in and who wasn't. And like Coach said, the area coaches help you a lot in that manner. And really the linemen, you see the skill guys a lot, but the linemen are the hard ones to find, the offensive and defensive guys.
What's the biggest challenge in getting guys who haven't played together before, some of them from teams that don't really like each other a whole lot during the regular season, getting them on the same page in a week or less of practice?
Well, I know offensively, really you got 50 to 60 snaps. So you see these all-star guys and you have all these great ideas, but you really have a limited number of snaps. So you kind of want to do what they do the best. And then your skill guys are similar. And then defensively, you just got to get them in the right place. Most of them are very talented, you know, and they know how to play football. You just got to make sure they're in the right spot so they can make a play.
I think Coach hit it really on the head. I mean, it's just you only have one ball, you know, and you got a bunch of these guys that are used to getting the ball a lot. But I think the thing about this area, I think these guys have, you know, you're talking about this is Border Bowl 9. A lot of these kids have grown up watching this game. Mm-hmm. It's become a big deal to them, and I think getting them to be able to come out there and I think they just really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to play. And you know, we've been in situations even in times that I've coached in this game. I mean, you got kids that play at Aiken and South Aiken who really don't like each other, but when it comes time to play in the Border Bowl, they just want to win the game.
As you've talked to your players, how much state pride is there in this game?
Well, I think you know, the pressure. I think the pressure is on South Carolina. You know, I mean, we've won a few of them in a row now, and you know, these guys are still have relationships with kids that they've played with at their respective schools that have played this game in the past, and I think that's something that they're reminded of, you know, quite often. But you know, this is just a great game. I think that once you've been a part of it, you find out just how good of a game it is, how organized, how well run it is. And so I think these kids are just excited about the opportunity to be able to play. For some of them, it may be their last time they play a game. And to be able to do it in front of a bunch of people that have watched them play, you know, over the last 4 years of their career, I think is a really big deal.
How about for Team Georgia?
Well, I would agree with Coach. It's a neat game. Not all areas have an opportunity to have kind of a border war type of situation. And, you know, the kids, you know, they just want to play. You know, at this point they've had a little break from football, so they're kind of excited about it again, and you get to play somebody that you hadn't really seen very much. And, you know, for the most part, you know, I know the guys in Georgia, you hear about these guys on other teams, and sometimes you play against them, but, you know, our thing is really big, so there's a lot of talk about this player over here and over there, but you really don't play them. Mm-hmm. So getting to be on the same team and see those guys, knowing that every position is solid is exciting.
All right, it is time. You mentioned 4-game winning streak for South Carolina. You said pressure. I won't put that on you, but I will ask you for a prediction.
You know, I've been a part of a lot of these. Man, it just always seems to come down to the end. You know, and that's okay. I like those kind of games. You know, blowout wins and stuff, those are fine. Blowout losses are never good. But, you know, I think that it's going to come down to a kick. I think, you know, it's going to be a 24-21 win by South Carolina. Maybe Drew Stevens sticks one in there for us right there at the end. And, you know, kind of his last hurrah before he heads off to Iowa.
Coach Burns?
Well, I think it'd be in bad taste if I didn't pick Team Georgia. But, no, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't know if it comes down to a kick or not, but I'm sure the kicking game will be a big part of it. I really think the team that's going to win is going to play really good on defense. I think we all have good offensive players, and everybody knows it, but I think one team, hopefully us, I'm going to pick us, will play really well on defense, and that'll be the difference.
You could never get a prediction out of a head coach during the regular season. That's one of the things that makes Border Bowl so much fun. We can get that prediction. Derek Youngblood, Team South Carolina, Lyle Burns, Team Georgia. I appreciate your time. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
And coming up, no matter what the final score ends up being tomorrow, we can already tell you who the big winner is. WJBF and Border Bowl proud to partner for the 9th straight year with Ronald McDonald House of Augusta. They provide a free-of-charge place to stay for families whose children are being treated at Children's Hospital of Georgia. You can help. All proceeds from tomorrow's game go to the Ronald McDonald House.
With COVID and everything that we've gone through, we don't know what to expect. So any event we have, any third-party participation that we have means the world to us. It really does. So yes, this event is very important.
So as always, a good time for a great cause tomorrow. There are also some special rules for tomorrow's game. We'll get more into that during the actual broadcast itself tomorrow. But first, Time for picks. Game pick, offensive player of the game, defensive player of the game.
Well, offensive, I was leaning Dalen Cobb, but I've noticed in history the passing quarterbacks do well. Noah Bell, Liam Welch. So I'm going to go Brooks Pangle on the offensive side, and a sleeper on the defensive side. We haven't even talked about him yet. Javaris Harden of Washington Wilkes. Because if I'm picking those for MVPs, I'm going with Team Georgia. I think they're going to break the streak this year. I'm going Team Georgia 21-13.
21-13. Derek Youngblood said it's whoever has the ball last. I think that's going to be Team Georgia. I also think they break the streak. I'm glad you didn't take Dalen Cobb because he's my offensive player of the game. And for defensive player of the game, also a sleeper. Lakeside, Kevin Sapp. Remember the game he had on Game Night Live for us?
Unbelievable. Yes, sure did.
Those are our picks. We'll see if we are correct. Kickoff tomorrow, 1 o'clock, right here on WJBF. One more thank you to our sponsors for this year's Border Bowl and the Richmond County Board of Education for hosting the game at Lucy Laney Memorial Stadium. AB, thanks again. See you tomorrow, high noon. Join us for Border Bowl 9 right here on WJBF.